ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the...
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to the re-entry Tuesday Midday Market Report with good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, as I'm live from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. A nice 77 sunny degrees, nice and cool out there today, as we are here on the 25th of August, the last full week of August as we get closer to flipping the calendar to September. Week 0 football this week. Not a bunch of good games, but football is here. Week number 3 of the NFL preseason as well. The headliner today, we can see more clearly in the AL East. Of course, Scotty's pitcher, Mr. Seymour pitching today, so I thought it was great. It's Tampa right now, 78 and 53. Yankees 74 and 56, and the Red Sox 72 and 59. Their 33rd comeback from behind victory this year, leads the MLB in that. We replay the tape from early April, May, June. Season over. Don't want to talk about them. This team's fun. They're fun. Listen, they gave us a summer. They make it to the playoffs. It is what it is. But anyways, first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free while you're there. Head on over to X. Join the community at WagerWire. And of course, head on over to wagerwire.com/marketplace. Some great tickets up for sale. Invest long-term, some parlay tickets there with some good hedge and profit opportunities. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
It's 30 games left. And some of these teams, I think that we might have said, hey, well, I know one of them anyway. We might have said, hey, this is no good for them. It's not a bad season for them, and it's not going to work out. Come to find out, they got the easiest path the rest of the way, and I wouldn't count them out yet. And that's the Seattle Mariners. Not because they won yesterday, but they have 2 games left with Philadelphia. They got 3 games with Boston and 3 games with Texas. That's it. That's the only good teams they play the rest of the season in those 30 games. They play. Listen to this. They play 3 against the Rockies. They play 7 against the A's, the 2 worst teams in Major League Baseball. 7 against the Angels, 3 against the Blue Jays, and 2 against the Astros. I don't know how they got 2 against the Astros. Maybe they're rainout games or something. But my point being is that you got 14 games against the A's and the Angels, and add 3 more with the Rockies. That's 17 games against teams that they should beat. So they're not out of this. They're not out of it.
I said last week, the team in the weeds, what if, and we've said all along, they have the pitching on paper, of course, on paper.
Except for Miller.
What's that? Yeah, except for Miller.
J-Rod's
been asked. and the big dumper Riley's been asked, and then he hits 3 homers last night. And every time, I go with Seattle, I have this little guy right here named Scott Webb that say, "Don't forget Randy, don't," and he does nothing for me. Well, Randy's been on fire. Looking at the extended standings, and we might as well put my plus 750 Tigers on the dartboard. I talk about falling on hard times. 1-9 last 10, losers of 6 in a row. Put a fork in them.
Hey, look, the Astros fired their general manager, and they're in first place. I don't know what Detroit's doing. They need to get rid of people in Detroit. You can't be on the fringe of making the playoffs with the best team in that division and go 1-9 down the street. You can't. Now I get it. They got rid of 2 of their best pitchers, so I understand. But at the same time as that, they were hitting. Now they're not hitting, and that's all cyclical and all that stuff. But the philosophy that this manager is using is not helping them win games. I think somebody needs to go in Detroit. That's bad. That's not good. That's bad. How do you get rid of a division leading general manager in the Astros? Of course, it's not. I think Texas took over that yesterday. But my point being is that they fired him because he didn't go get enough pitching at the trade deadline. And then you got the Detroit Tigers who can't beat the White Sox or the Guardians. It's just stupid.
Kansas City Royals have won 8 in a row and quietly only 8 games back. I'm being facetious here. I'm going to ask you a question. Guardians, Astros, if you want to throw the Twins or the Jays in there, God bless you. You want to throw the Orioles in there, God bless you. Mariners, Astro, Guardians. Water gun to your head. Scott Webb is taking who?
I'll take the Mariners.
Okay.
I'll take the Mariners. Now, here's the reality, though. I think what's going to end up happening, I'm looking at the projections of playoff odds on Fangraphs, and I don't really 100% agree with them just because some of that stuff is played out based off of what their winning percentages are now. But it's not played out based off of who they play coming up. So they've got Rays, Yankees, Red Sox all make the playoffs 98.7% or more. Well, we knew that a month ago. We knew the AL East is going to get 3 teams in, whoever wins the division plus these other 2. Well, we knew that. And then the way the other 2 divisions, holy shit, they've got the White Sox at 65% chance to make the playoffs because they're going to win the division. I'm not 1,000% sure that's going to happen. Cleveland's within striking distance of the White Sox. The White Sox aren't the greatest team in the world, and they haven't even been there before in a long time. So I'm not saying that Cleveland's going to catch them, but it's possible, And then so they got White Sox and then Guardians at 51% for the Guardians to make it, and then the Twins at 21%, so 23%. So the Twins aren't in the picture. And then in the West, the Rangers, they say, are 49% to make the playoffs, 37% to win the division, and then the Astros, and then the Mariners. And if you just look at what they've got in terms of who's going to make the playoffs and what the odds are, it's going to be those 3 teams in the American League East, and then the White Sox, and then the Rangers, and then the Guardians. That's what they got. So they don't have Astros. They don't have Mariners. They got Guardians to knock off any of those teams. So I don't think that that's 100% right, and I think people are certainly 100% writing off Seattle too early because you got 17 games against teams that they just are really, really bad. So they're not going to go 500 against those teams. They're going to win more than that. So they're going to make up ground against those teams when Houston and the Rangers are whatever they do, and those 2 teams aren't juggernauts anyway. So I think Seattle's got a What are they? Seattle's how many games out of first place in their division? 3.
Well, DraftKings has got them plus 180 to make the playoffs, and
Well, they're only 3 games out of the lead in the division as it is.
I'm
Give me,
trying.
give me, give me Seattle and dump a bunch of money on them.
Let me see here. You can get them plus 220 to win the division on DraftKings, plus 180 to make the playoffs.
Bet them both. Bet them both. You got Houston. Here's Houston's schedule remaining. Okay. Houston is what are they? They're a half a game back, 2.5 games in front. Houston plays 3 against the Rays. They play 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Phillies, 3 against the Diamondbacks, 3 against the White Sox. They have the 12th hardest schedule to go. And Seattle has got the easiest path. I mean, by far, it's the easiest path. That's Houston. And then Texas, they got 3 against Milwaukee, 3 against the Rays, 3 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Diamondbacks, and they got 2 against the White Sox. They rank 10th hardest. Those 2 teams have a much, much, much harder schedule than what Seattle does. And I think Seattle just goes right past them.
NL Brewers, Dodgers, Braves. Braves 3-7 their last 10. Right now, only a 3-game lead over the Phillies, who had won 9 in a row, lose last night. I tell you what, for that last spot, and again, we're assuming Phillies and Braves and Cubs are in. Arizona can thank Ketel Marte. 5-5 their last 10. They are 2 games behind the Padres. Are we ready to anoint the Padres, or you think that Arizona's got one more run in them?
I think the National League's done. I think you're going to have, the Phillies and the Braves, and I don't know what order that's going to come in. What are they? 3 games back?
Yeah,
the Phillies. That's not insurmountable. Now, both of those teams play a tougher schedule down the stretch, and do you know that they play each other 7 more times? Those 2 teams, 7. So it's not over, and it depends on and right now, the Braves don't have a lot of pitching, and they can't hit. So the Phillies can pitch and they can hit occasionally. So I think. I don't look at the Phillies as a team that can't catch the Braves. But anyway, that said, the Braves and the Phillies, the Brewers and the Cubs, and the Dodgers and the Padres, it ain't going to be nobody else. The only thing I can think of at all that would change any of that is you remember, I don't know when it was, May maybe, when the Marlins were 22-5 or some stupid number like that in May. Whatever, the Marlins, the damn Florida Marlins. Well, they're not that far out that they couldn't find a playoff spot over the Padres, but I don't think they're going to get there. And I think the general manager for the Padres secured it for them. And I know that he hasn't pitched that well, Casey Mize, but Robbie Ray has, and now they got pitchers to at least line up and get guys in the right spots to give their offense a chance to win these games, and certainly get it to the bullpen to win these games. So I think the Padres are going to win and make the playoffs. And I think it's cut, dried, sealed, signed, sealed, done. I don't think now the orders that they're all going to be in, I don't necessarily believe are done. I don't think the Phillies are out of it to catch the Braves. The Braves are in a bad way right now in terms of hitting, and they go through that a little bit, and they just don't have strong enough pitching to rely on. Like the Yankees, they don't hit, but holy shit, do they got pitchers? Starting pitchers, so they can stay in games and win games that they don't score but 3 runs. So I don't think everybody can do that. And when you watch Chris Sale pitch, he's a phenomenally good pitcher. But and I know it's unfair to say it, but they lined him up against Mizorowski. Mizorowski's best pitcher in baseball, and they got beat. Well, what do you think is going to happen when Chris Sale pitches against anybody anymore? They're going to be the best pitcher the other team has, and if your team can't score, then it doesn't hardly matter what Chris Sale does. If he gives up 2 or 3 runs, that might be enough. So I think that they're in trouble a little bit, the Braves, and I'm not sure how they fix it because they're reliant on the same old guys they got. And I don't mean old; I just meant the same lineup that's there. They're not calling up anybody to help spur them on and get them going, or certainly not making any deals or anything like that anymore. So I think Matt Olson's had a great season for them. I think Baldwin's had a great season for them. You know what I think might change their whole dynamic for the Braves is if Acuna went crazy now. He's got he's got MVP caliber stuff to do stuff. He just hasn't. And Albies was Albies, and he was good at the beginning of the season, and he's been consistent, but he's not been the greatest guy in the world. The third baseman is trying to figure things out. He's got Chipper Jones in his ear trying to fix his swing and and all that stuff. I don't know what they're doing at catcher right now, so it's a crazy team to think about. Where they've been, what kind of offense they had, and what kind of offense they have now, because it's not producing. So it's interesting. And the Phillies, they've been pretty. I mean, Bryce Harper, whether you want to admit to it or not, Bryce Harper's been very consistent all season long. He's not been necessarily the guy that goes out and hits 50 home runs like Schwarber does, but he drives in runs when necessary. He's a tough out when necessary. Sometimes he's not, but most of the time. And he gives you professional at bats. And then the addition of Luis Ariz. I was looking at numbers today. This team hasn't striking out. They're not striking out. And I'm like, when do the Phillies don't strike out? They always strike out. But they're not striking out. And I'm like, well, maybe Luis Ariz is like not wearing his new way with this team. So, they're putting balls in play and making the defense do stuff, and that's good play for them. And they got pitching, of course. You say that, and Wheeler gave up 4 home runs yesterday or the other day or whatever it was. So, but Nola's pitching well as long as he keeps the ball in the yard. And it's hard to say that because he's given up 30-some home runs. But if Nola can keep the ball in the yard for the most part, or just give up, solo home runs, he can beat you because his stuff has been really good. His numbers are really good. He pitches today against Kirby, and Kirby sucks. It's amazing to me. There's 2 Pomo pitchers today, 2, and those 2 Pomo pitchers, one of them is Kirby, and the other one is fucking Skeens. Skeens is a Pomo pitcher today.
I got to ask you this before we get into the games. Playing poker or we know the Dodgers. When they want someone, they get them. Period. End of discussion. Off season, go get Diaz, go get Tucker. It's a wrap. We knew if Scuba was going to be traded, it was the Dodgers. It was a wrap. They made it clear today or yesterday, whenever, he's a rental. He's a rental. Now, are they playing poker with the uncertainty of 2027? Hey, let him go out to the free agent market. Let everyone bid on him. And the Dodgers, being the Dodgers, say, hey, that's the number they want here. Here's the contract. Or you think they're being serious? No, we're all set. We just wanted you for the 3P. We're not adding, and we're not bringing you on long term.
I don't know. Here's what I think. They have so much money tied up in the protracted amount of money that they don't have to pay up front. So there are
almost $1 billion.
Well, the owner's going broke. All this stuff that's going on in with the Dodgers. I don't know how they can make commitments and make statements that say, hey, we're going to go sign this guy to this multi-million-dollar deal, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't know how they can do it, because if you don't have the money, then you can't do it. So the Dodgers may be tapped out. I don't know the answers to those questions. But the other side of my thought is that they might not be allowed to do contracts like that anymore after this CBA. So if they can't do a contract like that, then he sure as hell is going to be a rental, because they can't afford to pay the guy. And I don't know who in the hell else would be able to pay the guy if they can't get some of that protected money. So, these guys, these players are asking for all kinds of shit, Jeff, and I think they're out of their mind. So anyway, they're going to rein in all this stuff if they can, the owners, and get the baseball to be more competitive for all these teams, and get it to be to a point where, just because you have a high TV contract doesn't mean that you can go out there and spend all the money and just dwarf what the Kansas City Royals are able to do. So they're going to try to fix a lot of that stuff. I don't know how well it's going to go over. I don't even know if it's going to fly. That's why we're sitting here saying we don't know what we're going to deal with next year. But my opinion would be is I think they're saying the right things. Scooble's at an age 2 in his career, coming off of 2 Cy Youngs. He's not obviously going to win this Cy Young. And coming off some injuries and things that he had this season. I think his value is down. I think his age is going to be a part of that. But he's still going to be able to pitch well. But I don't know that you're ever going to see Tariq Skubal be a Cy Young guy again. And I don't mean that he doesn't have good stuff. I just mean that it's difficult when you get older, and look at DeGrom, and look at some of these guys that are out there that are trying to make it through, and they do great one day, and then the next day they give up 4 home runs and shit. I just think Tariq Skubal's in a spot where he might want that big payday, and he's going to get some of it. I don't think he's going to get everything that all these prognosticators are out there. Oh, he's going to get $450 million. No, he's not. He's not. He's not going to get that number. These teams aren't going to be able to pay it. And I think that, under this new agreement that's not done, not even close, and what it's going to look like and how it's going to, I don't think they're going to be allowed to do all this stuff, because I think that that's going to put teams like the Dodgers in financial crisis. And, the Dodgers could be in a financial crisis now for the next 20 years and never be good again. And once those contracts expire, maybe they'll be, they still got to pay all that money. And I think they could be in big trouble. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So let me see, going down the menu here. Some great matchups. Glasnow Elder. We got the Dodgers minus 148, Atlanta plus 138, home dogs there. A sneaky one, Cubs at Arizona, Holmes versus Pat. Pat's been great of late. Basically a pick 'em there. Skeens at San Diego versus King. Skeens short dog there. Your Tampa at Detroit. Will the Tigers get out of the funk? Throw the Book of Job at them versus SEYMOUR. Houston at New York. Tolle on the mound for the Red Hot Sox against Phillips. And then you talked about the nightcap, Phillies, Nola versus Kirby there. I'm going to bring you front and center, let you do your thing. I'll be here. I'll jump in when necessary and have some fun.
Yeah, I've got a couple of spots that I kind of like today, and then I've got a couple of spots that are possibles. It just depends on what your tolerance is for the numbers. They're not good for me right now. I don't want to bet crazy numbers. So for example, the Tampa Bay Rays game, the Rays have SEYMOUR on the mound, and the one thing you should really know is that, and I say this all the time, but the Tigers are not good against left-handed pitching. They're just not. Their lineup sucks. The players they play and the platoons and all the stuff that they have, they're not good against left-handed pitching. And I don't know how much everybody knows about SEYMOUR, but SEYMOUR is a relief pitcher. He was a relief pitcher at the beginning of the season. Well, they stretched him out, and he's a starting pitcher, and he's got great numbers. He's got a 2.65 xFIP and a 2.62 Sierra. He's got a 1.5 run edge value over Job. So he's the better pitcher between the two. Now Job has better stuff. He's a pitching 114 pitching plus number, and Seymour's a 100. So he's an average pitcher like that. Seymour's not going to go out there and throw 98 miles an hour. Job might. Job might hit 100. So there's a little difference in terms of stuff and quality of stuff. But Job's off of, Tommy John, missed all of last year. He's pitched 3 times. He's had 2 good starts, 1 bad start. And, here you got the Rays. And, the Rays aren't hitting. But right now, neither is Detroit. So the question becomes is, where do you go with this game? Do you take SEYMOUR and go, hey, you've got a 32% strikeout rate and a 4% walk rate. That's really good. It's hard to get on base, but yet you give up home runs. Your batting average against is average. Your whip is really good, and the reason you're winning a lot of these games is because your RE24 score is good. And then you got Job, who's kind of like just getting his feet wet again and trying to do stuff. And the Tigers are 1-9. So you got to look at that momentum and go, yeah, that's not a good thing for the Tigers. It's not a good thing they're playing the Rays right now. The Rays need to win these games. Obviously, the Tigers need to win these games. But the Tigers are getting to a point where, they're losing contact. They're losing contact to stay within the realm of catching teams. So the Tigers are almost, officially done. But so I look at this game and go, well, let's look at the hitters and the batters for a second. The Rays, there's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. The Rays offensive WAR rank 30th. That's not very good. And Detroit is 26th. That's not very good either. So I don't think you have an edge on offense. If I were to kind of give you any kind of advice there, I think the Tigers' offense is probably slightly ahead just in terms of the xWOBA number. But they're striking out 23% of the time, and the Rays aren't striking out. They're at least putting balls in play, and that was the other thing when I looked at this game. Job is 8.7% swing and miss rate. Well, that's pretty low. That's not, for example, 13.8 for SEYMOUR. So, putting balls in play, the Rays are going to have that opportunity, and that's what the Rays looking for. Like, they're not going to strike out, and they're going to put the ball in play. That's their MO. They're going to do that. And then, maybe they get a home run here or there or get, an extra base hit, and then all of a sudden they've got runs. And I think that's where you go and say, all right, well, maybe you want to bet Rays. The momentum is good, that kind of thing. And then you got to look at the line. And the number in this game was opened like minus 135. It's anywhere from minus 125 to minus 130 right now. I don't want to pay that. If it was more pick'emish or even 110, I think I would be more apt to say, hey, I want Rays. But I don't want the other side. You got to have an edge. And I don't think there's any edge there. So I'm bypassing that game. But I don't mind if somebody has more risk tolerance than I do to want to bet minus 130 on the Rays. But, remember, we're trying to find underdogs. That's the name of the game this time of the season. And I didn't find one today. I didn't find an underdog today. So just FYI. Tolle against Boston. I love this matchup. Tolle's going to be great. But they're minus 140. So that one kind of is my third best favorite play. I just didn't want to pay minus 140. Phillips is not a good pitcher. He's an average pitcher at best, but he's been pitching better in his last 30 days than he's pitched all season. He's a 3.73, 3.77 for a 3.76 run value score guy. But Tolle's a 2.82. Tolle has a 1-run advantage, even though Phillips has been better. So then the problem comes down to, okay, well, Tolley's been better. His RE24 score is better. He limits guys getting on base. His whip rate is much better. And then you go to where the offense kicks in, and you go, oh yeah, well, Boston's third in offense right now, fourth in isolated power. They're scoring almost 5 runs a game, and Miami's scoring 3.2 runs a game, and they're not hitting any home runs. So you look at it and you go, well, it's the number 3 offense versus number 14 offense, and I just can't get to a point where I want to take the underdog at all. But at minus 140, the one thing I will tell you about Phillips is a much better home pitcher than he is an away pitcher. And I think Tolley's a much better home pitcher than he is an away pitcher. Tolley has good games, and then he has stretches of bad games, and maybe he's over that bad stretch. He had. If I go there, Tolley, there we go. His game score, his game score the last time out was 50, so it was average. Then he had an 83 and a 76 before that. So okay, I understand why there was a 50, right? You can't just keep throwing 80s and 70s. Before that, it was a 48, 48, 46, 57. So even when he's bad, he's average. And that's what I like about Tolley is even when he's bad, he's going to throw a decent game. And when you think about what Phillips is, and I said he's been better, his numbers are 46, 46, 47, 49, 53. Average at best all the way through. And if Tolley pitches a better game than average, they can't win. So I like Boston. I think Boston's a good side. I just don't know if you want to pay minus 140 or not. In my world, that's the third best play on the board. Or in my world, money-wise that I like. Colorado plays Washington today. I skipped that game. Now, I will say this. Colorado is got a guy named Mason Adams pitching today. It's his first MLB game. It's a debut game for him. He's not a highly talented, nothing like that. Freeland has something wrong with his neck, so he's pitching in Freeland's spot just to have a pitcher. Anyway, I just left that one alone. Houston and the Yankees. Now, I'm not into this Pecco kid. He's thrown twice. He's had one good game, I think, and one bad game, right? Isn't that the way it works? Where is it? No, he's thrown one game, and it was a 47 game score. He only threw 3.2 innings. He had walk problems in that game. He did have a couple of strikeouts. He gave up a couple of runs in almost 4 innings. He didn't go 4 innings. And I'm concerned that this kid's going to have struggles in New York. Like if you only went 3 2/3 innings in your last time out, and that was your debut, now you got to go play in New York for the first time. I think that's a problem for him. Anyway, that being said, most of his data and his numbers that I have are going to be projection numbers. So they're going to be kind of on the average side for a major league pitcher. And I'm not sure where to go with that, other than to say Warren has not been good at all for the Yankees. And he's been a above average pitcher in a bad way. It's not a good way. He's been giving up a lot of hits. He's been giving up home runs, and I don't like that when you're facing a team that's how they're going to win is hit home runs. So I'm sitting here kind of on the fence of what to do in this spot. And then when I looked at the hitters and the batters, I'm like, the Yankees are 117 weighted runs created plus. They're actually hitting a little bit right now. So they're 17% better than an average offense. They're scoring 5 runs a game, and the Astros are 82. So they're 18% worse than an average offense. So I think there's an edge here for the Yankees. Now, I don't think it's a huge edge because I don't trust Will Warren. At the beginning of the season, Will Warren was one of the better pitchers in baseball. He's got a lot of problems now, and he's getting hit. And, the Astros aren't really hitting, but their top of the order can do damage. So I'm going to stay off this game, especially at the price. I think the price is Will Warren is minus probably like 150 or something. It's 145 to 138, something like that. So it's close to that number. Houston needs to keep winning. The Yankees need to keep winning. The Yankees are been a little bit more hot lately. Yankee news: Giancarlo Stanton's out for the year, so I guess rehab, and he fell down and hurt his calf again. So no Giancarlo Stanton for them. Anyway, Kansas City and Toronto. I did look at this game, and I wanted to really look at Scherzer because I thought he's been pitching a little bit better since he's come back. He's got a game score of 47 in his last 5 starts. That's since the third or second. I don't remember now. I'm getting old. How many times he's been on the disabled list this season? So his current stretch, he's a 47 game score. And I knew Lugo wasn't very good, but Lugo's been a 51 in his last 7. He's a 48 for the season. But they're about the same pitcher in terms of results. It's a 4.81 run value score for Lugo and a 4.85 for Scherzer. So theoretically, there's no pitching edge. But the Royals are on this run that Jeff talked about before the show, and the run they're on is because of their offense. Now, they're number 1 offensive WAR and number 2 in isolated power. They're scoring 6.8 runs a game. They're 12.6 runs better than an average offense right now. Their weighted runs created plus is 156. You can't get in front of that. And Scherzer especially, because he's not a big strikeout guy anymore. So the balls are going to be put in play. They're going to still strike out, but they're not going to strike out that much. So if you were really looking for an underdog spot, you might want to go here. And the Royals game is it's minus 124. So 114, something like that as an underdog for the Royals. I would want more than that, but it is what it is. Especially I don't trust Lugo, and Toronto's been hitting a little bit better. Toronto ranks 7th in offense, 114 weighted runs created plus, so they're 14% better than an average offense. They're 3.4 runs better than an average offense, but that doesn't match what Kansas City's doing at 12. So they got to make up a lot of runs, and Scherzer's not going to do it. Their bullpen can, but we'll see what that looks like. So I stayed off of this game. I thought I wanted to bet Toronto. I didn't like how that matched out. And then I thought, well, maybe Toronto's the right side for an underdog side because they can hit. My computer likes Toronto, likes the Royals today. My computer says, where is it? There it is. Says 3-1. 3-1. I think Lugo's going to only allow 1 run, but at 3-1, I'm not into that. I think that it might be a little higher scoring than 3-1, and I just can't. I can't get on board with the Royals. It's just not going to happen. The next game, to be honest, I didn't even do. This is Milwaukee and the Mets. And, normally this would be a game that, this is good. Milwaukee and the Mets, 2 good teams and blah, blah, blah. But you got Harrison on the mound and you got Thornton on the mound, 2 lefties. Harrison can shut you down, but he can also give up, 10 runs. Thornton's been, great at one time. When he first started, he was a spot starter, did good in these couple of spot starts, but now he's pitching all the time. He's getting hit. So the number in this game is what turned me off and wanting to do this. Milwaukee is anywhere from minus 170 to minus 155. I'm not paying that on the road. I'm not going to do it. And the Mets have been playing better. I'm not saying that they're a good team, but they've been playing better. Their offense has been doing better. And what's Milwaukee got to play for? I know that they need to try to stay ahead of the Dodgers to have the best record in baseball so that they have home field edge. But at the same time, they need to stay ahead of the Cubs. So I guess they got to play for those reasons. So they got to win. I'm just going to leave that one there. I'm not going to go that way. In my mind, if you are a minus 150, minus 160 on the road favorite, that's like being 200 at home. You're thinking run line, that kind of stuff on the road, and I'm not doing that. So I'm out of that game. I did not do the other game either. This is the Dodgers and the Braves. I would love to do this game. I didn't want to get involved in trying to figure out what Glasnow was going to show up. I expect Glasnow to be really good. There's times when Glasnow is almost unhittable. Today might be one of those days. The Braves can't hit. But the Dodgers aren't really hitting yet either. And they're going to face Elder, who, for whatever reason, hangs in there, stays around, and makes games competitive. But if you looked at who has the edge in offense, the Braves are 24th in offense. The Dodgers are 20th. So it's not that far apart. But they're both bad. And the Dodgers are 2.8 runs worse than an average offense, and the Braves are 6 runs worse than an average offense. Well, that means I want the Dodgers. I want Glasnow. What's the number? Well, the number in this game is Dodgers minus 155, 160. No way. I'm going to go and say, hey, am I going to put that number on Glasnow right now when I don't even know what he's going to look like? I think I know what he's going to look like. I have an indication I know what he's going to look like. Let me ask you this question. How many innings do you think he's going to pitch? Is he going to pitch 4? Is he going to pitch 5? Is he going to pitch 6? Is he on obviously a pitch count? It's the first time coming back off the disabled list. So there's a lot of things in play there that I'm just going to stay away, and especially at the number. So I stayed off of that one. I wanted to break this one down too. This is Texas and the White Sox. Texas beat them yesterday pretty handily. But this is DeGrom and K. And I think you got to understand a couple of things. DeGrom's been good for the season, though. He's a game score of 55. He's not an ace anymore. And I think it's very clear he's not an ace anymore. But he's an above average good pitcher. So game score 55 makes sense to me. K is a game score 50. But do you realize Anthony K was in the 40s at the beginning of the season? He's been steadily improving. He's a game score 53.7, almost 54 over his last 7 starts. And DeGrom is a 50 over his last 7 starts. Here's the big kicker. DeGrom, his last time out, was a game score 81. Every time DeGrom's thrown a great game, he hasn't thrown it another one. He doesn't back them up. So I'm expecting the White Sox to do a little damage today. DeGrom has a half a run advantage in the game in terms of run value scored. He's a little better. But what was surprising to me is that Anthony K has a 50% ground ball rate, so he's limiting damage. He has a better RE24 score than DeGrom does, and his batting average against and whip rate are better than DeGrom. So when it comes to what the offense does against K, they don't do as good as the offense does against DeGrom. So DeGrom's either on and strikes you out and has a good game, or he doesn't. And here's the numbers for DeGrom, just so you know. He threw a 81. The time before that was a 34, a 61, a 23, a 56, a 40. See? Back and forth and back and forth. He doesn't back up his good games at all. So I'm expecting the White Sox to do a little bit here. Now, saying that, when I went and looked at what the White Sox are doing on offense, and they're terrible. 23rd out of 30 teams. They are 81 weighted runs created plus, 19% worse than an average offense. They are 5.5 runs worse than an average offense. Not that the Rangers are killing it. They're more average. They're 97 weighted runs created plus. They rank 15th, and they're 1.5 runs worse. I don't think there's a pitching edge that DeGrom has. So I like that part where I want to go back, support K. I like that the White Sox lost yesterday. That would allow me to want to bet on K even more. But I don't like their offense enough to sit there and go, yeah, this is the right spot. And that game is, where's DeGrom at? DeGrom is almost like Pick'em. It's minus 110, minus 115, which makes sense. I think that's a right line. So I'm not getting enough value even to then want to bet on the White Sox. So I just passed on the game. Here's a game that I think you should bet that I really like, and I was surprised that I like it. Is Baltimore playing in St. Louis? This is Chris Bassett against Michael Liberatore, and I don't like Liberatore at all. But Bassett, he's making, I think, his third start, right? Yeah, and he's been decent in his first two, a 46 and a 52, so it's like 48 or something like that, whatever his number is. But it's average, and that's what he is. He's an average pitcher to below average. In fact, for the season before he got hurt, he's a game score 42. He's not very good, but he hangs around. He gets tough to score on. He makes quality pitches when needs to. But he gives up, 2-run homers, and he's got a high batting average against, a high whip rate. Guys get on base. Well, what I wasn't, I guess, paying enough attention to is Liberatore has been pretty good in this last month. Liberatore is a 3.33 xFIP, 3.14 Sierra number. He's got a 1-run edge over Bassett. One. So now Baltimore's got to find a way to overcome that. And the reality of it is Liberatore is the elite in strikeouts right now at 28.8, elite in walks at 5 points. So he's not getting guys aren't getting on base unless you get base hits. So remember, I just said that. Guys aren't getting on base unless you get base hits. So let's look at where Baltimore is. Baltimore is 28th in offense, 58 weighted runs created plus, 42% worse than an average team. They're not getting base hits. What they do is hit home runs. They hit home runs. They're 5th in isolated power. So if you can keep the ball in the yard against the Orioles, you're going to beat them. And home runs allowed by Liberatore right now is 1.04 per game, which is just a tick below, just a tick off of being elite. You got to be under 1 to be elite, and he's 1.04. So it's not going to be the easiest thing to hit home runs against Liberatore. So I think that says, hey, Baltimore scoring 2.6 runs a game. They're 8.5 runs worse than an average offense. That doesn't sound like anything good that I want to bet on. And Bassett's on the mound. Liberatore's been good, and the offense for St. Louis is 12th, so almost top 10. 101 weighted runs created plus, and they're average. So if anything, you have an average offense going against a below average pitcher, a terrible offense going against a good pitcher. Well, give me St. Louis minus 118. That's a good number. I think that should be much higher. So I like St. Louis. I think that's a good play, and I like Liberatore in that one. I thought I was going to like Cleveland today because Williams is really good. Urania's been good. Urania throws 100 miles an hour, but so does Williams. The issue with Urania for the Angels is he can't throw strikes. He's a walk machine. So that's how they're getting on base. They're not hitting him. Batting average against Urania is 159. 159. And for Williams, it's 176. Neither one of these guys give up a bunch of hits. So it's going to be who can control the strike zone. Normally, that's Williams. So I kind of liked the idea that Cleveland was going to be better, but Cleveland can't hit, man. They're average on offense, and so is the Angels. I don't think there's a big edge there. When you look at Cleveland on the road, they're not that good. They're better at home. I just thought it was not a good spot. Cleveland is minus 145 on the road. Come on, I'm out of there. There's no way I'm going to do that. So it's too much and not enough value. But I am going to tell you, here's the other spot that I like. This is Pittsburgh Skeens against San Diego. And Pittsburgh won a game last night. I think it was 12 innings or something like that. They won in extra innings. San Diego couldn't get a bunt down in the 10th inning and bunted into a double play. So, they didn't get their guy in. Whatever, doesn't matter. But today you have Skeens against King. And I will say this: we talk about Skeens not being good anymore. He's a game score of 55 on the season. That's still pretty damn good. It's not what he normally is. It's not an ace. Braxton Ashcraft probably is higher than that. To give you an example, so in theory, Paul Skeens isn't the best pitcher on the Pirates anymore. So Braxton Ashcraft is. So you have Skeens and King, 55 game score for the season. Well, King's 55 for the season too. So you got two pretty good pitchers going against each other today. The difference kind of is that Paul Skeens is a disadvantage on the mound for the Pirates. He's a minus, so giving the Padres 0.6 runs. So a half a run, maybe a little more, right? 0.6. So his number is 454 xFIP, 466 Sierra. Well, that's not an ace. That's high average, even bad average. So Skeens is still striking guys out, but I didn't know this. He has the highest walk rate on the board today. Highest. It's 15%. He's walking 15% of the guys he faces. That's not good. His batting average against is 261. Keep in mind, league average is 244. So he's way above that number. So if you're walking them and they're getting on base via hits, your whip rate's going to be high, and it's 1.7. Almost two guys getting on base every inning. It's not, and his hard hit rate's 38%. It's not good for Paul Skeens. His home run rate's 1.5 per game. That's not good either. So King, not that he's the best pitcher that you ever seen him, and he's probably not even the best pitcher on the Padres, but he's pretty good. Is good at everything and average at everything except home runs. He's allowing 2 home runs a game, but the Pirates aren't hitting. So that was the deal for me when I looked at them. The Pirates are 2.8 runs a game, 29th in offense, 61 weighted runs. They're 39% worse than an average team, 8.5 runs worse than an average team. And it's not that San Diego is going out and ripping up the world on offense, but they are scoring 5 runs a game, 112 weighted runs created plus, so they're 12% better than average. So they're doing well on offense. They rank 9th and 2.6 runs better. So there's a better offense facing a pummel pitcher today in Paul Skeens, and that's because his RE24 score is bad. So he could give up 4 runs in an inning, and you've seen that in the last, I don't know how many times he started, giving up 3 and 4 runs, once the 3rd or 4th inning comes around. So I like the Padres. And the Padres are minus 116. I'll take a small dog, and especially the Padres who are trying to win games. The Pirates have if not lost connection to being in the wild card race, almost out of it. So I don't think this matters as much to them. The Pirates beat them yesterday in extra innings. I think that this is one of those spots where the Padres come back. So I like that. I like those 2 plays, and then I like the Boston Red Sox deal. Minnesota and the A's. I didn't look at Minnesota and the A's. I don't even know who's pitching. No, I'm kidding. I know who's pitching, but I didn't look. Philadelphia and Seattle. Now, I did look at this game. My computer likes the Phillies. I don't know if you guys know this, but Kirby, his number is 5.71 xFIP, 5.57 Sierra. The worst pitcher today in terms of those numbers. He's the worst guy. Not only that, his strikeout rate is only 11%. So balls in play go to Philadelphia. And home runs, he's the worst pitcher at allowing home runs today, 2.25 per game. So I don't like Kirby at all in this matchup. And they hit 4 home runs or whatever it was yesterday. I don't think they're going to hit 4 home runs again today, even though Nola's pitching. So I do like Nola in this spot. It's an interesting spot. I think the number in this game was, where is it? Nola is he's barely plus money. I would have wanted it to be a little higher than that, but it is what it is. If you like it, play it. Don't bet on Seattle tonight, even though I said, hey, I think Seattle's going to make the playoffs and all that stuff. I Kirby's no good. We got to figure out Kirby's problem. He still throws hard, but he's not striking anybody out, and they're hitting him. And Philadelphia, if I look at that, bum, bum, bum. Philadelphia is 8th in offense. Seattle's 5th. Seattle's hitting the ball too. Both teams right now. Seattle's 3.9 runs better than an average team, and Phillies are 2.9 runs better than an average team. So I don't think you really got an edge there. I think the edge is on the mound, and I think that's where you go take advantage, and you go, hey Nola, be the veteran guy, tough minded guy, go get outs. I know you're going to give up a run here and there, but we're going to kill Kirby in one of these innings and blast them. So I think that's kind of where that game goes. Anyway, I didn't do the Reds and the Giants, so if anybody wants any of that stuff, you got to ask, and I'll go through it. But as far as I'm concerned, I had 2 plays this time. Last time we talked, I was embarrassed. I didn't have nothing, but at least I got 2 plays, and I do like Boston tonight. So, but I like St. Louis and San Diego.
And the one thing I will say about the Phillies side tonight, again, after a long winning streak, after a long losing streak, you usually, well, after a winning streak, they had won 9 in a row, they lost, you usually lose again. Not guaranteed. I'm just saying it's more that they lose the second one than they come back and start a new streak. That's number one. Same as a long losing streak, you finally win, you usually win the next game. Not that I'm running to the window to back Nola, which again, he could be Cy Nola. It's like today. Go against Skeens, and all of a sudden it'll be Cy Skeens. You know how that works, right, Scotty?
Well, let's say it the way we need to say it. This is professional baseball, professional sports. These are the best players in the world. They are the best players in the world for a reason. They've got stuff that Jeff and I can't do. I can't go out there and do what these guys do. So that being said, there's always that possibility that their talents and the things that they can do, we're going to outshine anything else that happens for that day. And, when you play baseball, it's 162 of those games. So, one day they might be really, really, really good, and you don't expect them to be. So, sir, Paul Skeens could go out there and he could throw a no-hitter tonight. He's got, we've seen him pitch really good before. Maybe not this year, but we've seen him pitch really good before. And it'd be really cool to see that again. Of course, not if you bet against him tonight.
Tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Yes, I know. We're going to be debuting. Brady Tinker will be back, the voice of Dallas sports, to talk about the Cowboys and his beloved Chiefs. We'll get a temperature report, of course, on the Texas Rangers. And we've decided best for both worlds, early in the morning versus late at night. So set the calendars. You can watch it on replay, of course, on YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Most of you guys will still be sleeping, I assume. But me and Brady Tinker every Wednesday, 7:30 a.m. It'll be 6:30 a.m. in Texas. So have him on. I think I will be back tomorrow, 2:30 to 3, with Scott Wetzel on FanStream Radio, TV, excuse me, on his channel. And I haven't set the dial on the exact date and times that I will be there this fall, but I will be back tomorrow at 2:30 to 3 with him. Myself and Scotty will be back on Thursday and Friday at high noon. Guys, we will talk some football on one of those shows as week 0 is here. And then again, if me and Scotty are going to be doing 3 shows a week, we will keep baseball. There'll be baseball talk, but again, we will start to ease into the football as well. Closing thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I think it's it's one of these spots where you just got to be a little bit careful on what you're seeing and what you're doing, and gearing up for and watch the teams, because watch the Dodgers. Dodgers aren't necessarily going out there to win every single game down the stretch. they're trying to position their guys in their pitching rotation and set things up so that when the playoffs start, they're ready to go. And the worst thing that can happen to any of these teams is they end up in a tie at the end of the season or any of that stuff to get into the playoffs and have to play an extra game, and they have to put their best pitcher in the extra game. So when the playoffs actually start, they got their next best guy against your best guy and all that kind of crazy stuff. We're not there yet. We got 30 days. Shouldn't say 30 days. 30 games, and we'll see what happens as it all kind of comes down. But I feel like accountability is out there, but it's not. Like I was shocked that the Astros fired their general manager. And now I'm shocked that Detroit isn't doing something similar. So I think that stuff needs to happen because if you're getting rid of a general manager who was leading the division in baseball with wins, and you're mad at him because he didn't get enough pitching at the trade deadline or whatever to help your team win, that says one thing to me about the Astros and the ownership of that. They don't think they're going to win because they don't have enough pitching. So I think that means, hey, Seattle, and hey, Texas, Houston's like, hey, we're going to lose. So then, you go, well, what's Texas going to do? They don't got any offense. So I really think Seattle's going to pull this off, and I think they're going to catch them, and I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they. I don't know who's going to make it after that, but Cleveland might make it in. Maybe the other one, Texas or Houston, does, but against Cleveland, we'll see what it looks like as it comes down. I know Cleveland's got an easier path than either one of the other two in the West. So, American League's still fun. National League is just going to be about seeding and because it's over in my mind, it's over. You got 30 days to sit here and wait till all right, are the Dodgers the number one seed or is the Brewers the number one seed? Who's got home field advantage, and does who's the number 3 seed then, and when they play with the wild cards and how all that stuff works out and all that stuff. So I think that's the only thing that's, and you can sit here and go, well, is Ohtani or PCA the guy that's going to win the MVP? You can talk stuff like that, but I think that the National League's cooked.
Shout out to PB, Rocket Sauce, Kenny Magner, the usual suspects, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance. Hope everyone had a great weekend. As we're in the last full week of August, hope everyone's getting their, I was going to say Christmas shopping, their back to school stuff, bringing the kids to colleges, getting yourself set up for the fall, fantasy football, maybe the Circa contest, the Survivor contest, the Westgate contest. A lot of things going on this week, next week, with Labor Day around the corner. So get yourself set up. Enjoy the end of summer. It's not over yet, just yet. So, again, tomorrow, 7:30 a.m., set the dial, myself and Brady Tinker. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only, Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone to have a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves and stay tuned.